Hello, English learners. This is Learn English with Brandon, and I am going to discuss with you the nature of modal verbs. For me, modal verbs are a certain flavor of any language. And in English, we often use modal verbs with conditionals, with rhetoric when we're trying to persuade people, and if we're just being casual and unclear with our language. The nature of modal verbs makes me think of modal music, meaning that we can take a chord and just keep on moving that chord. And forgive me if you don't understand modal music, but it's the idea that things can fluctuate from one area to another, and the meaning is a little ambiguous. For instance, if we take the modal verb could, I can say, I could go to the store if you need me to. This isn't saying I am going to the store. This isn't saying I will go to the store, and it's not saying of course I'm not going to the store. We're somewhere in the middle of these definite statements. Okay? This is the nature of nearly all modal verbs. Let me give you another example. Needn't. Okay? You needn't book tickets for the concert in advance. Okay? Now, here we're saying you don't need to do this. You can if you desire to do so, but it's not required. If I say you need to book tickets before the concert, this is definite, and need has taken on the characteristic of its normal self and not functioning as a modal verb. Okay? So we need to be aware of this when we use modal verbs such as might, such as should, ought to, could. If I say to somebody, when somebody asks me a question, let's say the question is, did you talk to Sam yesterday? And I said, well, I might have talked to Sam yesterday. If I say that, then this is being very unclear. And sometimes people use this to purposefully be unclear or to be ambiguous with their language or perhaps to be sly or sneaky in some ways. I personally find this very rude, and I would insist that English learners don't use this type of language. In this, when we are presented with interrogative forms of language, we should always give definite answers. I did speak to Sam yesterday, or no, I didn't. If we say I might have, this opens up a door for new questions. Because the person that I said that to, I might have spoke with Sam yesterday, they would say, well, you don't remember? Did you or didn't you? Okay? So we have to be aware when we are giving this modal quality to language, okay? Because this modal quality implies like indefinite situations. They can fluctuate, right? They can fluctuate. I could go to the store. I don't have to, but I'm headed by the store, and I can stop by the store if it's that necessary. But I don't have to and I don't need to because I could also go to the store tomorrow. Okay? Now, I hope this helps explain the nature of modal verbs. And I think it's important to understand what this actually means before we go ahead and learn all of these words, because there are many modal verbs and we use them in slightly different situations, okay? As an English teacher, as somebody who's studied grammar, as somebody who honestly struggled with grammar when I was younger, and then became a published writer, and then became a certified English teacher. You know, when I see the term modal auxiliary, to me that just means like what? That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't, like, what does this mean? And then you go look up modal and auxiliary in the dictionary, and the definitions are very confusing, and they don't necessarily give you an idea of how these words actually function. So I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Please ask me any questions that you might have concerning modal verbs, how to use particular modal verbs, how they function in conditionals, how they function outside of conditionals. So thank you again. I hope to see you in the next video.